Welcome back to Rapids Reloaded. The Federal Firearms Act of 1938 was enacted during a time of significant social and political changes in the United States. The country was still recovering from the Great Depression, and there was a growing sense of unease about the rise of fascism in Europe. At the same time, there was concerns about the increasing rate of violent crime in the United States, which had been on the rise since the start of Prohibition. Organized crime had exploded during the Prohibition years, leading to the National Firearms Act of 1934 that began restrictions on firearms in the United States. It was against this backdrop that the Federal Firearms Act was introduced. The primary aim of the act was to regulate the sale and possession of firearms and to prevent firearms from falling into the hands of criminals, the mentally ill, and other individuals who were deemed to be a threat to public safety. The act created what is commonly known today as the Federal Firearms License, which all firearms dealers in the United States must possess in order to conduct business. The act established penalties for individuals who violated its provisions, including fines and imprisonment. Overall, the Federal Firearms Act of 1938 was the second step in regulating firearms in the United States. It helped to establish a framework for federal gun control legislation that would be expanded upon in years to come. The Federal Firearms Act of 1938 was not without its critics. Some argue that the act did not go far enough in regulating firearms and that it should have included a ban on certain types of firearms, such as machine guns. Others argued that the act violated the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution, which guarantees the right to keep and bear arms. Still, others argue that the act was ineffective in reducing violent crime, as many criminals simply obtained firearms through illegal means, something they continue to do in the modern day. Some even argue that the act had the unintended consequence of driving up the price of firearms, making it more difficult for law-abiding citizens to purchase them for self-defense. Despite these criticisms, the Federal Firearms Act of 1938 remained in effect for many years and laid the groundwork for future gun control legislation in the United States. The Federal Firearms Act of 1938 had a lasting impact on the regulation of firearms in the United States. It paved the way for future legislation such as the Gun Control Act of 1968 and the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act of 1993. These laws expanded federal gun control measures and helped to establish a more comprehensive framework for regulating firearms. Today, the debate over gun control in the United States remains a contentious issue, with advocates on both sides arguing fiercely for their respected positions. The Federal Firearms Act of 1938 was a major step in the history of gun control legislation in the United States. It marked the first federal laws regulating the sale and possession of firearms and laid the groundwork for future gun control measures. The act contained several key provisions, including licensing requirements, federal identification of firearms, and penalties for violating its provisions. I hope you found this video informative and entertaining. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content on firearms. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the Federal Firearms Act of 1938 and its impact on ownership in the United States. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.